Okay, today we will go through the economic factor. F1 is economic factor. Economic factor. In this segment, that is today, we actually go for discussion, making discussion about some other factor in pest analysis. We have discussed that is, if you want to do any kinds of business, you have to do the pest analysis, EEST, right? Each and every word has a specific meaning, and within the pest, E means economical factor or economic factor. So today we go for that. In economic factor, that is, when you are making any kinds of decision or when you are going to take kinds of business, the business obviously is surrounded or established in a specific economy. So if you want to survive or if you want to operate, in that case you need to know the economy first, so that you can make some decision or fruitful decision and then make some changes in your business. So today we focus on that, what we mean by pure economy. So first of all, we discuss what we mean by economy. What do you mean by economics? Economics, this is in simple term, that is way of creating wealth or process of creating wealth. The fact is, resources within the society is not unlimited. Any kinds of resources, there is some limitations. So, economy actually focus how to distribute these resources which are scarce, to find out or to create more wealth, to generate more wealth, right? That's why in simple terms we can say that is economics means that is the study of creation of wealth. It's a kind of study where we try to find out how we can create wealth by using our scarce resources. That is all about economics. Clear? This economics discussion actually depends on two different aspects. One is micro level, microeconomics, another is macroeconomics. Microeconomics and macroeconomics. What do you mean by microeconomics? Microeconomics means when we are dealing with individual part of economy. It may be individual farm, it may be individual industry. That is how the economics decision actually taken by individual part of the economy. That is micro level. And macro you can say as a whole, aggregate level. Aggregate level means, as for example, just take an example. Suppose when you are dealing with the demand of a specific kind of pen or demand of, right, just like this kinds of whiteboard marker, that means you are taking decision of one kind of individual segment. That is micro. But when you are dealing with the demand of the customer for several kinds of goods, that is macro. So macro means when you are taking decision about the aggregate level, that is macro. Clear? So initially we will go through what we mean microeconomics. Microeconomics. In the case of microeconomics, we try to focus or we try to find out how the individual part of a machine or how the individual part of an economy actually try to make the decision regarding demand and supply in relation with the price setup. That is all about micro level. So here we actually try to find out how individual component of a economy actually behave. and we try to measure their behavior regarding demand and supply. Demand and supply in relation to price. Clear? So we focus on that first. So initially we talk about the demand. Demand means in economy, what do we mean by demand? Demand means there is, first of all, focus on example. Suppose you are the manufacturer of, as for example, you are the manufacturer of Rolls-Royce, right? Rolls-Royce, if you focus in our market, in Khulna region, here Rolls-Royce, maybe some people dream about Rolls-Royce, but according to the income level, they cannot afford the Rolls-Royce, right? So who will be your potential customers? Your potential customers will be those people who have the ability to do this, right? So some people may have dream. There is some people may have demand of something, specific kinds of things, but don't have that much capability to have that. So demand actually means in a specific time period, the total willingness and capability as well. Willingness means ichha and capability in a specific short time period, the total willingness as well as the ability of the customer for a specific kind of goods and service at a specific price. So here, three components actually comes about. Willingness. First of all, we have some specific desire, that is I want this, right? Then ability. If the customer have the ability to have that or grab that at a specific price, only then that is demand. Willingness alone is not a kind of demand. That is, several people may have some dream. Dream is willingness, but only willingness is not the demand. Both willingness and the ability should be there. Willingness and ability for a goods or service at a specific price. Specific price at a specific time period. So if there is willingness and ability, for what? For a specific kind of goods and service in relation to a specific price for a specific time period. That is all about the total demand. Here, now there is a relationship between demand and price. We have already discussed. So we have to focus on that. Normally, demand and price are inversely related. This is normal. Normally, demand and price of a specific things, that is actually inverse related. What do you mean by that? That is, suppose as for example, when you set up this level of price P1, in the horizontal axis, we actually try to put the demand of a specific goods or product, and vertical axis, we plot the price set up for that specific commodity. When you are setting up the price at this level, that is P1, in that case, you may find that is your quantity demanded is this much. Suppose P1. as you are setting your price lower than the previous, your price is setting that is lower than the previous. Suppose initial price was this much. When you are lowering your price, suppose as for example now you are setting your price P2, that is lowering or decreasing your price, then it is normal that the quantity demand increased. Initial demand was this much. Now at lower price the consumer is demanding more quantity than the previous, right? So that means when you are lowering your price, demand is uprising. At the same time, when you are go up, that means when you are increasing your price, your demand is squeezing. That's why we are saying that is the relationship between price and demand is inversely related. If you rise one, another will goes down. Clear? That is. So what the reason behind this? We need to know that. In this segment, we are actually doing a study regarding ACCA, right? ACCA. That is Finance and Accounting related course. But this is a kind of informative course. We do not need to know the hurdle of economics. We just need to know the main component. Clear? So we are saying that there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. So what is the reason behind this? The reason, there may be several reasons, but main, so we have already discussed, that is demand, price, inversely related. Normal. So what is the main reason behind this? According to your book, main reason number one is substitution effect. One is substitution effect. What do you mean by this? Substitution effect. Just think an example. According to our economy, according to our income level, tea and coffee, both the products are substitute. That means you can consume tea, in against you can consume coffee, because both are provide the same kinds of utility, or you can say same kinds of satisfaction, normal. So what do you mean by this substitution effect? If in any cases the price of coffee in our country rise very much up or uprised drastically, normal sense people will consume that less. Why? Because people try to start consume more the substitute product of tea, right? On the other hand, if the price of tea goes up drastically, people think that is using high price to consume tea, rather I can consume coffee, right? So substitution effect means if there are several kinds of options to choose, in that case, if the price of any commodity goes up, people think that is that price will provide lesser utility per dollar spent against that. That's why they try to shift or they try to switch, demand the other substitute product more in comparison to the previous one. Here, this is called substitution effect. And normal sense, you can say, you can use utility. Utility means that is satisfaction. When you are using any kinds of product or commodity, there is a specific desire that when you consume that, it will provide you some specific amount of satisfaction. Clear? Now, as for example, when you are buying this pen by using 100 taka, according to our BDT, 100 taka, it will generate some specific amount of satisfaction, which is called utility. So you can find out or you can measure the utility per dollar spent, right? If the price of this pen goes up, suppose 150 taka. Initially it was 100 taka, now it is 150 taka. In that case, you will measure the utility or satisfaction generated by the same pen listen in comparison to per dollar spent before and now, right? So that's why people actually switch to consume other same kinds of product if there is any kinds of substitutes. So this is called substitution. Clear? Then number 2, which is called income effect. Income effect. Suppose your income is fixed. Normally your income is fixed. Today, you can buy a loaf, by using, suppose 2 loaves, by using $100. Now, next day when you go forward to a shop to buy loaf, you see that is the loaf price is $200. Previous day that was $100. By using $100 you can buy 2 loaves. Now to purchase the same quantity you need to provide 200, right? 2 times more. This will make a kind of sense, that is your purchasing power actually lowered, right? But if the price goes down, suppose today you purchase 2 loaves by using $100, next day you purchase 2 loaves, 2 same kinds of loaves by using $50. That means it's a sense, that is the purchasing power of money increased or decreased, depending upon this. That is called income effect. That is real purchasing power of the income. So if the income effect is, that is, if you see or if the customer seems that is the purchase power is increased, they consume more. If they think the purchasing power is decreased, with a price, they consume less. So these are the 2 different effect or main reason why the demand and price is inversely related. Another factor I want to say, this income will not affect that much in the commodity, but some reasons are there, some circumstances there when income affect use. What are the circumstances? As for example, I want to buy an apartment. To buy an apartment, most of our income will be related there or will be transferred to there, and it will be huge. That's why any change in the price of this level or price required to buy an apartment will affect me huge. Clear? But the fact is, suppose newspaper price in compared to my income is very minimal, and even you can say it is not economical, right? Economical to make comparison between these 2. That's why if the newspaper price goes up, it will not affect me that much. So income actually affect in the case of demand in some specific circumstances. What circumstances? If the expenses required most proportion of your income, then it affects more. But if it is a very minimal part of your income, in that case the income will not drastically that much, but the consumption will not that much drastically changed. Clear? Okay. So now the thing is, we have discussed, that is inverse relationship between demand and price. Now we will talk about movement, or you can say expansion and contraction. movement of demand actually. Movement of demand. See the graph? We have already discussed it. When you are, as for example, reducing your price, right? You are changing your price. Changing means here you are reducing the price of a specific commodity, and ultimately the commodity demanded is expanded, right? So that's why initially the point of P and Q is this one. Now we move to this point, right? This is called movement. And what kind of movement? This is expanding the quantity. That's why this is called expansion. Moving through a line, expansion. So normally when the demand of a specific commodity actually changes because of the price changes. Normally, just focus here. When the demand of a commodity changes because of the changes in price, then the movement actually through a specific line, and which is called the movement through line. This movement may be expansion, that means when your quantity is increased because of the reduced price. Even you can increase the price. When you are increasing the price, demand is reducing. This is called contraction or reduction in quantity. Here, so expansion and contraction both are the movement within a line, and this movement actually done, or this movement actually constructed. Why? When the quantity actually changes because the changes in price. Clear? This is movement. Now economics, you just have to focus the graph. Graphs are very much important because all the decisions are taken through graph. So understand what do you mean by contraction and expansion in line? Then, so up to this level of discussion we have discussed, that is quantity changes occurred because of the price changes, right? There are some other factors as well for which the demand may also be changes. So we'll discuss on that. First of all, factors other than price, not price. We have already discussed about the price. Factors other than the price for which your demand of a specific commodity may be changes. As for example, suppose income. If the income of a specific individual, or if the income of the customer, or you can say consumer, changes, income level changes, it will obviously affect a huge to changing the demand of a commodity. Just take an example. Today, student, suppose you are a student, right? You have some specific amount of income, as per example. So with this income, you can afford to transport. In the case of transportation, you can use bus. But when you are a salaried person, in future, when you become a salaried person, amount of salary is there, and you have the ability to buy a car. In that case, for transportation purpose, you will use car rather than bus, right? So demand changes, or demand shifted, demand actually switch in the transport cases from bus to use own car. Why? Because of the income level, right? Another thing. So we can say inferior goods. Some types of goods are there. Inferior goods. When income actually appraises, inferior people demand lesser quantity of inferior goods. Why? Because now they have the ability to purchase the superior goods. Clear? So this is income. So for income, demand really changes. On the other hand, government can impose tax. Government always impose tax on the total income, right? After providing the tax, the amount remained, that is normally called disposable income. If government reduce the percentage of income tax, it will increase the disposable income. Disposable income means that portion of your total income which you can dispose or you can use for consuming some other goods and services. Clear? So if your disposable part of income increase, it is obvious that you will consume more on a specific commodity. So income can create effect on commodity demand. Clear? Okay. Then come through test. Test. See, now normally in today's world, consumers are very much affected by taste, or you can say trend. As for example, today people are very much conscious about health, which was not real in 5 or 10 or 15 years earlier. But today, our society is very much conscious about health. That's why with this consciousness, suppose think about your level, students. Students are now buying different kinds of materials or different kinds of machineries, physical machineries, right? That is train, windmill, different kinds of machine they are using to make themselves fit, right? Then different kinds of goods, nutrition goods, protein goods, the demand of these goods are priced. Why? Because taste is actually changed. Clear? Okay. So taste is something, that means taste, or you can say fashion. Today's people are very much fashionable. They try to find out those fashionable products, right? So taste or fashion or trend, you can say, can change the demand, right? Okay. Then the price of, you can say, that is population. Just think about two countries, Bangladesh and China. Can you compare these two countries according to their number of population? Bangladesh, there are 17 crores of populations, just now 17 or related to 17. But in China you cannot compare 1700 crores to near about 200 crores. 17 crores, what is 17 crores, and China near about 200 crores, right? With the increased population, the society demands more. It is normal, right? So it is another factor, population size, another factor that can drastically change the, or drastically significant on demand, right? Okay. So these are the some kinds of factors other than price which can affect the demand. That means which can affect the demand to changes, right? Here you need to know the graph as well. That is, this is called demand shift. Demand shifts. That is, suppose as for example, this is your initial demand line. For example, the disposable income of the society is somehow uprise. We have already discussed that is income can affect on the demand. So at this price, P1, at this price, your quantity demand was this much, right? This was your demand cash. Now for some reason the disposable income for the society is uppriced. Obviously demand will increase. Here the demand will increase in this line, D2 line. How much? The price remains the same, but now people are demanding more. Clear? Price is same. Initially this price, your quantity demanded was this much. But now because of the changes in the income level, that is we have discussed, that is somehow the disposable income of the society uppriced. That's why the same price, people will demand more because the demand line shifted upwards. Clear? This is called demand shift. So we have discussed two things. One is demand movement within the line. Why demand moving within the line? That is contraction and expansion, or you can say extension. Why? When the demand actually changes because of the price of the commodity or service. But when the demand is changes because of some other factor rather than price, then demand line shifted either upward or downward to the horizon. If you want to up the demand, the line should be go beyond the origin or above the origin. So when you are using the line more distant to origin means this one. It will represent the demand uprise. Or when you are putting the line nearer to the origin, it will represent demand goes down. Clear? So for price changes, any change in demand, that is the movement, contraction or expansion within the line, or any changes in demand rather than the price for some other factor, that is demand shift. Clear? Okay. Now we'll discuss another important thing, that is PED, which is called price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand. What do you mean by this PED? We have already discussed that if there is a relationship between price and the quantity demanded, and normally that is inverse related. We have discussed several kinds of things. So what do you mean by this PED, or why PED is required? Now we need to know the demand of a specific quantity or a specific product or service is how much or what extent responsive with the price changes. That is, some product are there. Just before that, think an example. Suppose rice is our staple food. When the price of rice goes up, huge amount of uprise is there, will not drastically lower the quantity consumed. Right? It may be possible that is will try to consume some other goods or product lesser, but because of the staple food, we'll use the same kinds of same amount, same quantity of the rice. Right? That means with the change in the price, rice quantity or product demand of rice is not that much changed. But if suppose the luxurious items, for example car, if today government impose 300% tax on car, it will upprice the car price huge. And car normally in our country, car normally is a kind of luxurious product. So here the smaller amount of change may cause a drastic change in the demand. Right? So some product are there which are not changes, the quantity of the demand is not changed that much, but some product are there which changes that hugely. Right? So we need to know the responsiveness or the extent to which a product commodity demanded is responsive with the change of prices. That is actually PED. Clear? If the product is huge amount of responsive, then we can say something. Or if the product is lesser responsive, then we will say some other things. So that is PED. So PED actually represented by this lambda. Lambda, how we can measure this? That is percentage change in demand percentage change in price, and this lambda may be 0. When the lambda is 0, that means with the change in price, it will not totally affect the quantity demand of a specific product. That means there is no sort of relationship between price and demand. Clear? Then lambda is 0. Then this lambda may be 1. That means the amount of changes in price and the amount in changes in quantity is just like the same. That's why numerator and denominator when same, lambda become 1. Then lambda may be more than 1. Then we have to use some name. When lambda equal to 0, that means quantity is not totally responsive with the changes in the price. That's why when lambda equal to 0, the product is called perfectly inelastic product. Inelastic. That means it will not totally responsive with the changes in the price. When lambda equal to 1, so in between these two, when lambda equal to 1, this is called unit elasticity. Unit. That means demand will change as much as the price changes. This is elastic product. This is unit elastic product. So elasticity actually starts from 1. Okay. As the lambda goes up, more than 1, equal to 1 or more than 1, this is called elasticity or elastic product. Why this is called elastic product? Because here the product actually responsive with the responsive hues or responsive more than or responsive more in compared to the changes in the price. Suppose take an example. Why this total result lambda will be more than 1? When your numerator is more than denominator, right? As for example, when this is 4 by 3, right? Or when this is 4 by 4. 4 by 4 means unit 1 and 4 by 3 means more than 1. So starting from 1, as the lambda increasing, then you can say the product is elastic product. Why the product is elastic? Because here the product is much more responsive with the changes in the price. Clear? So the highest value of lambda may be infinitive. This is called perfectly elastic product. We will discuss according to graph later on. This is called perfectly elastic product. And there is another option when lambda is less than 1. Lambda is 1, upper level more than 1. Lower level, lambda is less than 1. Less than 1 means, as for example, when this is 3 by 4, that means point something. And point something means here your product is responsive, right? Responsive. But the product is not that much responsive what amount the prices changes. That's why product is responding or product demand is changing. But we are still saying that is inelastic product. Clear? So elasticity actually represents when the product is more responsive in comparison to price. Elasticity. But when the product is less responsive than the changes in the price, responsive but less responsive, then that is inelastic product. Clear? Okay. So next segment we can do this discussion by using some specific graph. Clear? So first of all, we'll see two extreme points. Number one, suppose, take an example. Q1 this is suppose P1, this is suppose P2. When you are charging, the price of your commodity is this much. The quantity demanded is Q1. But when you are charging more, still the quantity demanded is same. That means the changes in the price doesn't have any effect on the quantity demand of a specific commodity. Right? So this is the point. If you try to find out the lambda of this point, that is percentage change in quantity and percentage change in price. Here the percentage change in quantity is 0. That means whatever the price changes in there, your quantity will not be changes at anymore. That's why here the lambda equal to 0. And this position is called perfectly inelastic product. Inelastic. The product is not totally responsive with the changes in the price. Clear? This is one point. Then come to the next point. Next point. This is P1. Suppose Q1, Q2. Think about this point. At this fixed price of P1, the quantity demanded or the quantity of this specific commodity demand is unlimited. See? Unlimited quantities demanded, but the price is this much. According to economics, if you change the price of this commodity rather than this P1, there will be no sort of demand. This is economics. So if you try to find out the lambda of this point means percentage change in quantity, percentage change in price. Here percentage change in price is 0. Percentage change in price is 0. But percentage change in quantity unlimited, infinitive. So here lambda is infinity. So here you can say, but the fact is, if you change a small amount of price anymore, there will be no sort of demand at all. That means you can say the product at this level is huge amount of responsive with the change in the price. That's why we can say this is the example of what? Example of perfectly elastic product. Perfectly elastic product. That means if you change the price at any level, there will be no sort of demand at all. But at this level of price, the demand is unlimited. That's why this is lambda equal to infinity, and this is called perfectly elastic product. Clear? Then come to another graph. That is so here your lambda equal to 0. In this position, your lambda equal to infinitive. At the very middle stage, 0.5. 0.5. Here, your lambda equal to 1. This is 1 means that is changes in the quantity and the changes in the price is the same. That's why lambda equal to 1, right? So lower level for this, lower level from lambda equal to 1. Here in this portion, the lambda is less than 1, not equal to 1. Equal to 1 means elastic. So elasticity actually start from 1. Less than 1. See, if your product is in this position, there is changing. Quantity is changes with the change in the price, but not that much. So that's why if lambda is in between this portion, we can say these are inelastic products. So if the question is such, that is inelasticity means the product demand will not changes at all. True or false? Obviously false. Because product quantity will changes unless this perfectly inelastic position. Product quantity will be changes, but not that much That's why this portion inelastic. But upper level from 1, here, upper level from 1 point something to infinitive, this portion you can say this is elastic product, because here the quantity demanded more than the changes in the price. Clear? So this is all about the elasticity and how we can find out or how we can measure the responsiveness, the quantity of a specific commodity with the changes in price. Clear? Now, two important things. These kinds of question you may be asked with the exam. That is, if you rise the price, see, when you are rising the price of a commodity, the total revenue tier, total revenue is also rising. So what kind of product is this? When you are charging more price, then the total revenue is also rising. This is elastic or inelastic product?
Inelastic product.
Inelastic product. Because the total revenue actually rise because you are rising the price per unit. That's why the total revenue. So this is inelastic. But if the fact is lowering the price per unit, but tier is rising, that means
Elastic.
quantity affected by the price. That's why this is elastic product. So this question may be asked inversely. Clear? Okay. Then I'll show. Okay. The link between PD and revenue we have already discussed. There is, now we will discuss the factors. Factors that can affect this PD. PD to increase or decrease factors. Number one, proportion of income. See, proportion of income, that is proportion of disposable income, you said. We have already discussed in the demand phases, right? If your disposable income rise or goes down, it will affect the demand. So as the proportion of income affect the demand, it will obviously affect the PD. Okay. Then substitutes. If there are huge amount of substitute available, number of substitute available, in that case PD of that product obviously more than one. See why? Because if there are number of substitutes, any amount of changes in the price will affect the quantity changes drastically or huge. Why? If you rise a small amount of price, it may be possible, as there are available substitutes there, people will consume some other goods rather than consume your goods. So substitute affect the PD. Huge amount of substitution, PD is more. Product is elastic, normally. Necessities. Think about rice, our staple food, our necessities. If the price goes up or down, whatever may be case, it is inelastic product, right? The product will not be changed that much with the changes in the price because of the necessity. Habit. Habit also affect your PD. If you are habituous to go through newspaper in early morning, it is your habit, so you will not focus the price. So in this case, habitual product is inelastic product. So these are the factors that can affect your PD. Clear? আজকে এটুকু করবো না, আরো বলবো, যতটুকু ভালো করে করতে পারবো ততটুকু বলবো, আরো যাবো যতটুকু করবো। ওকে, দেন আসতে হবে সাপ্লাই। সো দিস ইজ অল অ্যাবাউট ডিমান্ড। নাও সাপ্লাই। Supply. In the case of demand segment, we said that is what amount the consumer is willing and able, right? There is willingness and ability of the consumer at a specific price at a specific time, right? That is all about demand. Supply is the same like the demand, but some changes is there. What amount is willingness and ability to the supplier to supply a specific commodity at a specific price, a specific time. First of all, willingness should be there. That is, suppliers are willing to produce or supply that much good at a specific price. Just think an example. If government each and every year in our country, government set up some price of the paddy, rice, right? If the stated price is very much lower, our farmers will not be willing to produce rice. Rather, they will produce some other things. Right? So first of all, willingness should be there. Then ability. In our country, do you know the name of avocado? Our country's climate is not that much or is not helpful to produce avocado. So what amount of subsidy or what amount of price you can set, producer will be able to produce avocado, right? So first of all, willingness should be there, and obviously ability should be there. Who? To the suppliers. Suppliers need willingness and ability to produce or supply goods, or you can say service, right? Service at a specific price. At a specific price, at a specific time period. That is all about the total supply demand. Here, now, just like the demand, supply has also a relationship with the price. But the fact is, supply and price positive relation. What do you mean by this? See the graph. P1, Q1, P2, Q2. In your F1 exam, you can expect so many questions from this economic segment, only this one chapter. So go through this chapter. Okay. In the case of supply, when you are uprising the price, right? When you are rising the price, the quantity supplied by the supplier or producer, you can say, is increased. Right? That's why we are saying supply and price are positively related. If you rise one, another things will also rise. But if the price of the commodity goes down, quantity also, supply goes down. What's the reason behind this? The reason behind this is When you are rising the price, right? Rising the price, it is a signal for the supplier that they can generate more profit by selling or by supplying, or you can say by producing individual commodity or service. But when the price goes down, they can generate lesser amount of profit by spending, because in the case of production they need some specific amount to be expended. Cost is there, right? So being a supplier or being a producer, you need to make the profit, generate profit. Now the question is, to generate profit, what amount of cost, or you have to compare between profit generated and cost required. So when price is uprising, it is obvious that by using per unit, or by selling or by producing per unit, you are generating more profit. But when the prices price goes down, you are generating lesser profit by producing it. So when prices go down, supplier will not be motivated to produce that much, they will produce lesser. But when the price goes up, it's a signal to them, that is, they can generate more profit. So that's why they start producing more. This is all about supply and price. Here, inversely, same things just like the demand, there may be movement in the supply. Movement. Whoa. Movement. As you are changing the price, when you are changing the price, your quantity demand is also changes. Quantity demand, the quantity supplied by the producer also changes. So why here the quantity supplied is changes? Why? Because of the changes in the price. That's why this is called movement through the line. Clear? So when the supply changes because of the price changes, the supply actually moving through a specific line, which is called, this is movement. So movement may be construction, or it may be contraction and expansion, just like the demand previously. Expansion means when you are uprising your price, right? This much, uprising your price, your quantity supplied or produced by the supplier is expanded. This is called movement. Why? Your supply is changes or uprise because of the price changes, which is called expansion. Supply extremely drastically changes. But when you are reducing your price per unit, the commodity demand is, or the commodity supplied, reduced. This is called contraction. Movement, contraction. So you can say movement actually occurred when the demand, when the supply, that is quantity of supply changes because of the price changes. There will be some other factors also for which your supply will also changes. That is, as for example, factors other than the price. Other than the price, also the supplier can change the supplied amount, right? What will be the things? Number one, as for example, tax. If government provides subsidies on tax in the case of production, government is providing subsidies in the tax segment in producing some specific. As for example, in our country, fertilizer. Government provides subsidies in producing fertilizer and government charges lesser tax. Lesser tax means in producing the specific commodity, producer needs lesser amount of cost. Cost lesser, right? Cost lesser. If the cost is lesser, that means producer can produce the thing in a lesser amount of cost. Lesser amount of cost means it is a kind of expectation by the producer that it will generate more profit. Generate more profit by selling. As the cost is lower,